Bonjour, mon petit chifleur. I've recently just finished reading the Divergent Trilogy by Veronica Roth, so I hope you don't mind if I take a few minutes and talk about it. So, first up, we have Divergent, obviously. Starts off with 16-year-old Beatrice Pryor. She lives with her parents and her brother Caleb in the abnegation faction of dystopian Chicago. Now, there are 5 factions. Each one values a different quality, I guess. There's abnegation, which values selflessness. Amity, which values peace and harmony. Erudite, which values intelligence. Candor, which values honesty. And dauntless, which values bravery. Alright, so the story starts on the day of the aptitude tests, which is when you take the test to figure out what faction you belong in. We find out Triss is divergent. She displayed equal aptitude with abnegation, dauntless, and erudite. And we find out that being divergent is super dangerous because basically, in each faction, they want you to, they program you, basically program you to act and think a certain way. And when you're divergent, your brain works in all different ways. Like it doesn't work just in one certain way, so they can't control you, basically. So being divergent, she then has to figure out how to blend in and hide and not show her divergence. So then we move to the choosing ceremony where it's time to choose what faction she's going to belong in. She's torn between abnegation, which is her home, and dauntless, because she feels she's not selfless enough for abnegation. Long story short, she chooses dauntless, where she meets Four, who is one of the dauntless trainers for the initiates. And then we also find out that of the 20 initiates, there are 11 dauntless born and 9 transfers. Only 10 will actually make it into being dauntless. So you're just like, oh, okay, cool. If I had known that there's a chance that I'd still end up factionless, I might not have, gone with this. So Triss has to go through training to ensure that she makes it into the top 10. Training starts off where they learn to, fight and shoot. It's all about combat. So she has to deal with the fact that she's divergent and trying to hide that, trying to survive training, which is brutal, trying to rank in the top 10 so she remains dauntless. Then she has to deal with the fellow initiate, Peter, who is insane and out to get her, and Eric, who is a dauntless leader, who is crazy and ruthless. So she has to deal with all of that. That's enough to make just about anybody go crazy and question everything. But she does have her friends, Christina, Will, and Al. Blah, blah, blah. And on top of that, there's Four. Who is Four, and why is she so drawn to him? So then there's the second part of initiation, which is facing fear head on, where they're put into the simulation where they are facing their fears and trying to, that it ranks them based on how quickly they are able to get out of the simulation. So during that time, she and Four get closer, they admit their feelings for each other, and then we find out that Erudite is planning an attack, a war against Abnegation, because Abnegation is the faction where all the government leaders come from. So they're planning a war on Abnegation, and they plan on using the Dauntless soldiers, the Dauntless, as their soldiers. In the night of the initiation banquet, Triss finds out how, because Erudite and Dauntless are working together, more like Janine, who is the leader of Erudite, and Eric from Dauntless are working together, and have placed transmitters in the serum that they injected in all the Dauntless, and which basically then puts them in a simulation and they attack Abnegation. So in the middle of the night, of the initiation banquet, they launch their attack. The Dauntless are then turned into like mindless killing machines because they don't know what they're doing. They're just following the commands in the simulation, and they're basically sleepwalkers. And they go to abnegation. All of them are under the simulation. All the Dauntless, except like the ones that were chosen not to be, and Triss and Four, because they are both Divergent. Spoiler alert: Four is also Divergent. But they pretend to be under the simulation, so they get to abnegation. They try to blend in. Meanwhile, Triss is trying to find her family to try to get them to safety and whatnot. So, in the midst of all this, they are caught, and Four is taken. Triss is almost killed, but she escapes, and she manages to find the rest of her family. They escape abnegation. They go to Dauntless headquarters to try to destroy the simulation. She finds Four, and he is able to come out of the simulation that he's put in and stop the attack on abnegation. Meanwhile, when all the Dauntless are taken out, they're freaking out because they are realizing that they've just killed so many innocent people. So then they, Triss, Four, Caleb, and Marcus, who is Four's father, or Tobias at this point, we know him by his name Tobias, they flee to Amity until they can figure out what their next move is, and that's where the book ends. And I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, you're just gonna leave me like that? So what I love, there's so many more details and moments in the book than there are in the movie, and I'm really glad I read the book before I saw the movie. And it's kind of like, I think particularly with Peter, how psychotic he is, how crazy and like murderous he is. It kind of reminds me of The Last Song. Yeah, completely different types of books, but The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks. In the movie, I forget the guy's name, but he's Blaze's boyfriend, who's after Ronnie, Miley's character, and he's like, in the book, in the movie, he's just portrayed like, oh, you're such a creep, you're kind of crazy, but in the movie, in the book, he's portrayed so much more as like a sociopath, and he's like really crazy. But so that kind of reminds me of this, where like in the movie, you get a glimpse of how dark Peter is, but in the book you really see like this murderous, like twisted person. So also Veronica Roth is a really good author. The book really pulls you into the story. It's kind of like you can see like a movie in your head, not just because I saw a movie, but you can like feel Triss's pain as she goes through all the training and all the emotional stuff she has to go through. It's almost like you're living it. And I also really like that with Four and Triss, it's not like, boom, suddenly I'm in love with you, oh my god, I love you so much. It's kind of like their relationship actually builds up to the point where, yeah, they might have had feelings for each other for a long time, but like they don't automatically admit it. And it's not like, oh my god, I'm so in love with you, oh my god. It's kind of like, yeah, I love you, but we still have to fight, we still have to save our faction, this, that, and the other. And it's all not also like, boom, your best friends are always your best friends. Like, yeah, these are your friends, but they still kind of don't always trust you, or they're kind of jealous when you're doing better than them, because at the end of the day, it's a competition to get into Dauntless. So now I'm sitting here thinking, what's going to happen once they get to Amity, because essentially they're factionless, so are they going to accept them? And then what's going to happen with Janine and Erudite? It's just like, because they launched this war and they're trying to overthrow the government, and what's going to happen with the other factions when they find out what's going on. I want to know, is Christina still alive, because that was very important to me. I love her character, and I loved Zoe Kravitz's portrayal of Christina. I would like Zoe Kravitz to play me in the story of my life. And how are they going to get rid of Peter and Marcus? So those are my thoughts about Divergent. I love the book. I can't wait till the movie comes out next week. And I'm really excited because now I get to start Insurgent. Alright, so where do we leave off? Okay, Triss Tobias, or Four, or whatever you want to call him, Caleb, Peter, and Marcus were on their way to Amity to meet up with the abnegation that fled there when they went to Dauntless headquarters, stop the whole big shebang. Anyway, votes taken in Amity about the Dauntless and whatnot, and they decide that their headquarters is going to be a safe house for all the factions. Blah, 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 no fighting, no violence, whatever. So Triss and Four know they can't stay. And then Marcus announces that he and the other abnegation decide they want to go back to abnegation. Okay. So then the Erudite come to Amity, and they're looking for them. So they, Triss, Four, Caleb, and Susan, who's also the was there from an abnegation, escape, and they are picked up by a train of factionalists. Ooh, please don't kill me. The factionalists are apparently planning to overthrow Erudite, and then they go to what's her name? Triss and Four go to Candor, and the Erudite attack Candor, and the Divergent there. So apparently Erudite has developed a long-term transmitter. So meanwhile, there's a rift forming between Triss and Four, or Tobias, and I'm waiting for Triss to fall off the deep end and fall completely into a mental meltdown. So, after a crap ton of drama between Erudite and Candor and the Dauntless execute Peter, and they go back to Dauntless headquarters. So then, apparently, Erudite can't be stopped, because then they start attacking the Dauntless to get to the Divergent. So, Triss turns herself over to the Erudite on her little suicide mission because she knows she's going to die in the end. And Janine plans on doing all these tests on Triss's mind to figure out how she works and how she can be controlled, because apparently she's the strongest Divergent, and then she's going to execute her. So right before her execution, Peter, of all people, helps her and Tobias escape, and they go back to the abnegation faction where everyone is, and the Dauntless and the factionalists have teamed up, and then they are planning to attack Erudite and destroy all their data and kill innocent people, and it doesn't sit right with Triss. Triss teams up with Marcus. Triss, Marcus, and Christina go to Amity. They team up with Kara, who's Will's sister, and some other guy named Fernando, which is fun to say, and they sneak into Erudite. Long story short, the factionalists are trying to take control when all is revealed, and we find out the truth about what's beyond the fence, and everything is changed. And then boom, the book's over, and literally my response was, what? Wait, what? So it's getting really crazy, so crazy, and I'm just sitting here like, okay, what are they going to do with the whole new Beyond the Fence situation? And does this mean the Divergent are going to be in power now? Are Triss and Four ever going to sort their crap out? And, oh my god, what about Caleb? What about Caleb? Why? So, I'm really sorry if I sound kind of weird and kind of dude, are you okay? I'm okay. I was at the Paradise Fears concert last night, so I'm just kind of a little, everything hurts, my throat hurts, my chest hurts, everything hurts, but in a good way. So I need to know what happens next, so I'm really excited to start reading Allegiant. So I'm back with Allegiant, and it is 1:02 in the morning. I just finished reading it, I guess technically yesterday. I just want to come right now, as is, I think the progression of my outfits in each video shows the digression of my emotional state as I read these books. Okay, so the end of Insurgent, we discover the truth about what's behind the Beyond the Fence, and the factionalists are taking over. So, this book starts with Triss, Christina, and Kara. They're being held prisoner in the former Erudite headquarters, blah, blah, blah. We find out the book is told through 2 points of view, Triss and Four. Anyway, after Triss lies her way through the truth serum that's releasing the three of them, we find out through Four, well, actually his mom, about the Allegiant, and the Allegiant are planning to overthrow Evelyn in order to follow through with the original plans of that were exposed in the video in the end of Insurgent. Alright, so Triss, For, Christina, and Caleb, who For sprung out of prison, and Peter are in the group chosen to leave and find out everything that's beyond the fence. They meet Zoe and Amar, who's supposed to be dead. They take them to the take them to the Bureau of Genetic Welfare, where they learn about the Purity Wars, which is what led to factions and all that jazz. And we find out that the city, Chicago, is just an experiment for genetic healing, and there are others throughout the country. So everyone's like, wait, huh, what? So Divergent is just the word that they chose to use, which means genetically pure. They are not actually needed for some war outside the fence. They are just needed for their healed genes to pass on to further generations. And the Bureau has been watching. They've been watching the fighting and the killing and all that jazz, so they're not the greatest people ever. Triss finds her mother's, or is given her mother's journals, where her mother lived in the Bureau, she lived in the Fringe, and I guess it's like she gets a piece of her mom back. Toby finds out that he is not actually divergent. He just can fight off simulations, so he's kind of like, oh me, oh my. And then at this point, I'm like, there's another rift forming between him and Triss, especially when Nita shows up and she's all like, I know, I'm genetically damaged like you. But Nita has a plan, and she plans to rise against the Bureau and leads to all types of destruction, and Tobias is on the wrong side of it. Uriah is in a coma. Triss is like, dude, I'm kind of done with you. So, long story short, Triss and For come back together like they always do. They come back together, and we find out that the Bureau's planning to reset the Chicago experiment, and Triss is like, no, you're not going to steal everybody's memories. So they hatch a plan to go and inoculate their families against the memory serum, while Triss enacts, or rather Caleb, is supposed to enact the memory serum in the Bureau to reset everyone's memories, to stop them from resetting the memories in Chicago. And the process, Caleb's going to be struck with the death serum and die, sacrificing himself for Triss, which is supposed to prove that he actually loves her, but he's just doing it to be rid of the guilt. And then Triss sacrifices herself, spoiler alert, and Triss dies, and now I understand why it's told through 2 points of view, so Tobias takes over the story. I'm like, what? No, wait, what? So, and it's not like one of those, oh, you think they're dead, but they're actually surprised not dead. She's actually dead, and it's, I mean, first off, props to Veronica Roth, because authors don't usually kill off the main character, but I'm just tired of being emotionally attached to characters and them being killed off, and I'm just like, I'm never reading another book again. So, that's basically it. And there's a lot of other stuff that happens, but you should read the books. I've tried not to put too many spoilers in here. But yeah, that's the Divergent Trilogy. I really enjoyed it a lot. I'm really happy I finally got through Allegiant. It took like 2 months. So I'm looking forward to the movies being made of Insurgent and Allegiant. Yeah, I'm in an emotional state right now. So yeah, I think if they had killed off Caleb, it would have been worse, because for the movie's sake of the casting, I couldn't bear to see Ansel die in both movies. So yeah, if you enjoyed me babbling about books, please give this a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to me, and I'm gonna go read some more books now. or go to bed.